Well, I'm going to make a start, and I hope someone will be able to translate for me. Uh, this is the Juche study session of KFA Germany, and I'm the guest speaker today. And I'm going to talk about the work. Giving priority to ideological work is essential for accomplishing socialism. And I've prepared a short paper. The work giving priority to ideological work is essential for accomplishing socialism was published on the 19th of June 1995, 19 years ago. It was written by Chairman Kim Jong il. The work was written in the period some 4 years after the collapse of socialism in the former USSR and other socialist countries, such as the German Democratic Republic. Also, the DVRK had lost their great leader, President Kim Il-sung, the year before in 1994. At the time, there was much soul-searching as well as apprehension among supporters of socialism. Why was socialism frustrated? What can be done to successfully build socialism and avoid the pitfall of the restoration of capitalism? People asked. People racked their brains. Why, they asked, what had gone wrong? Although this is a short work, it contains very powerful ideas. Comrade Kim Jong il, with remarkable clairvoyant theoretical wisdom, provided the answers in his work. Comrade Kim Jong il explained the reason for the frustration of socialism in a nutshell. He said, and I quote, "The most serious lesson of the collapse of socialism in several countries is that the corruption of socialism begins with ideological corruption, and that a breakdown on the ideological front results in the crumbling of all socialism's fronts and ends in the total ruin of socialism." End of quotation. The above quote is very true. In many socialist countries, the ideology of socialism had become corrupted. After the 20th Congress of the CPSU in the Soviet Union, some socialist countries moved to the right and greatly downplayed ideological work, which in turn led to setbacks on other fronts, such as the economy. I witnessed this myself with my own eyes when I visited Hungary in 1988 and 1989. There was a complete absence of any kind of socialist ideological work, but instead there were pictures of Madonna and Rambo openly on sale in markets in Hungary. Once the ideological front of socialism crumbles, then all other fronts crumble, and socialism is frustrated and collapses. Socialism is completely different to capitalism and cannot grow within the framework of capitalism, as it is a new idea that rejects the exploitation of human by human. Socialism, of course, fully reflects the class demand of the working class. One of the things that impressed me most about this work when I read it for the first time, soon after it had been published, was the profoundly robust and combative defense of socialism and the role of ideological work under socialism, which all the time is attacked by the imperialists as, and I quote, indoctrination, regimentation, etc. Comrade Kim Jong il tears this apart, and he says, and I quote, The basic task of ideological work in socialist society is to colour the whole of society with socialist ideology. The development and consummation of socialist society is nothing other than the transformation of all realms of social life as required by socialist ideology. The most important task in this regard is arming all members of society with socialist ideology in order to colour the whole of society with a single ideology. Ideological work in socialist society must serve the purpose of colouring the whole of society with socialist ideology. In any society, the ruling class tries to bring about the unchallenged predominance of its ideology. In capitalist society, where the society is split into classes and people's interests conflict, one ideology cannot hold undivided sway, and it is inevitable that different ideas exist. The imperialists and their mouthpieces claim that the existence of these ideas is a source of pride for the free world, quote unquote. However, progressive ideas can never develop freely in capitalist society, where the means of propaganda and education, such as the mass media, are in the hands of monopoly capitalists and reactionary rulers. The reactionary bourgeois ruling class tolerate progressive ideas to some extent to make capitalist society seem democratic, but when they are considered the slightest threat to the ruling system, it mercilessly suppresses them. Outwardly, different thoughts appear to be tolerated in capitalist society, but all kinds of thought throughout it, without exception, are none other than the various forms of expression of bourgeois ideology. The freedom of ideology talked about the imperialists is a deceptive slogan to dress up under the signpost of freedom their oppression of progressive ideas in capitalist society, and they're resorting to every method to propagate reactionary bourgeois ideas. It is a deceptive slogan to justify their ideological and cultural infiltration into other countries. End of quotation. I think that this is one of the most brilliant expositions of the role of ideology under capitalism and socialism that I've ever read. Although capitalist society may appear pluralistic and democratic outwardly because of the existence of many different ideas, in fact, they are but a reflection of bourgeois ideology, and we can see this apparent in some so-called parties that call themselves socialist or communists, but attack countries like the DPRK and continually prettify imperialism. In the work, Comrade Kim Jong Il turns his attentions to the dangers to socialism posed by revisionism. He says, and I quote, "Revisionism is a counter-revolutionary, opportunist ideological trend which emasculates socialism's revolutionary principles. The greatest harm of revisionism is that it denies the position and role of the party and leader in the revolution and construction. It weakens the role of socialist power, creates illusions about capitalism, and disarms people ideologically. In the long run, revisionism abandons socialism and leads to capitalism. We must have a clear understanding of the reactionary nature of revisionism and its dangers, and must strongly oppose and reject all sorts of revisionist trends." This is a very apt but trenchant expose, say, of revisionism and the reactionary role it plays in destroying socialism. It was revisionism that brought down socialism in many countries of the world. Comrade Kim Jong-il sees straight through it incorrectly, calls for the Korean people and the Great Workers' Party of Korea to oppose all forms of revisionism. The great leader, Comrade Kim Jong-il, clearly defines the nature of socialism, pointing out that, and I quote, socialism is incompatible with private ownership and the capitalist market economy, end of quotation. This deals a telling blow against those who advocate reform and opening up and the so-called plurality of ownership. Therefore, socialist ownership of the means of production must be consolidated. If this is not done, Comrade Kim Jong-il warns that if remnants of the old society and socialist society are encouraged to grow, or capitalist economic methods are introduced into socialist economic management, or worse still, if capitalist ownership is revived by encroaching upon socialist ownership, this will result in the economic material basis of socialist ideology being pulled down and conditions created for the growth of individualism, selfishness, and other bourgeois ideas. Another danger is the infiltration of bourgeois culture and ideology by the imperialists, but Comrade Kim Jong-il is acutely aware of this. He writes that, and I quote, through their ideological and cultural infiltration into other countries, the imperialists are working ceaselessly to affect people with ideological diseases, disintegrate those countries from within, and put them under their domination and control. The imperialist ideological and cultural infiltration is a way for them to be aggressive and intervene under the guise of cooperation and exchange. It is a vicious means of counter-revolutionary subversion by which to paralyze people's sound ideological consciousness and to corrupt and make people degenerate by means of reactionary bourgeois ideological poison, end of quotation. These days, the imperialists desperately try to destroy socialism by infiltrating degenerate Western pop culture into socialism through so-called exchange. It was once, said Comrade Kim Jong-il correctly, says that the simple but effective remedy to the maladies of revisionism and bourgeois ideological and cultural infiltration is to imbue people thoroughly with socialist ideology. Thus, the socialist state must give priority to ideological work. Therefore, to conclude, the work giving priority to ideological work is essential for accomplishing socialism is a most invaluable work that gives answers to key questions in building socialism and should be studied by everyone. It is as relevant now as it was 19 years ago when it was published. And I would like to pose the following questions for the audience. Question 1, what do you think the role of ideology is in socialist society? Question 2, is there ideological freedom in capitalist society? Question 3, how destructive is the infiltration of capitalist ideology in culture in a socialist society? Thank you very much for listening, and I hope there's someone there who's going to translate what I've just said. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dermot Hodson. Unfortunately, we haven't found someone for translating until now. So, yeah, but my English is not so good. So, yes, I can't do it.
So were you able to understand anything I said? So did you understand what I had said.
Yes, I understand most of the most things. Yes.
Okay, well that's good. What I will do is I will send the paper to either Jeremy or Dominic for them to translate and publish. I think that's the best approach, as there doesn't seem to be anyone here to translate it for me. I don't know if you want to try and answer any of the questions I've posed.
I can try, but I can't remember
Okay.
the question. So
Okay, well, I'll just read them out again. 1 minute. Question 1, what do you think the role of ideology is in a socialist society? Question 2, is there ideological freedom in capitalist society? Question 3, how destructive is the infiltration of capitalist ideology and culture in a socialist society?
Comrades, maybe thought I don't know why Comrade Dominic didn't come. He said that he would translate, but I don't know why. So I will try to translate today. But this is an exception. Normally, I would like to, I said I have not a lot of time, but could you send me the questions on as text, or say it again, it's a single or one by one, so I can read them one by one.
By one carefully again. The questions are: question 1, what do you think the role of ideology is in a socialist society? Question 2 is
Wait, Comrade Dr. Hudson, please. One, you say one, and I translate the one. So,
Okay.
because if you say all at once, it would be too much for me to remember every single question translate. So first, the person that's like, I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but sorry. Also Frage 1. Was ist deiner Meinung nach die Rolle der Ideologie in der sozialistischen Gesellschaft? So now you can make question 2.
Question 2, is there ideological freedom in capitalist society?
Frage 2. Gibt es ideologische Freiheit in der kapitalistischen Gesellschaft?
Question 3, how destructive is the infiltration of capitalist ideology and culture in a socialist society?
Frage 3. Wie schädlich ist das Eindringen kapitalistischer Ideologie in sozialistischen Gesellschaften in der Kultur?
Yeah, I mean, there was just 3 questions, so I don't know if people want to try and answer those.
Philipp, möchtest du die beantworten oder soll ich versuchen, die zu beantworten?
Ich kann ja mal versuchen, also die zweite, ich mache es jetzt mal auf Deutsch, das ist ein bisschen einfacher. Die zweite Frage war ja mit der Ideologie im Kapitalismus. Es ist eigentlich so, dass im Kapitalismus auch entsprechend die kapitalistische, sage ich jetzt mal so, die kapitalistische Ideologie oder ja, dieses ganze Denkweise, nenne ich es jetzt mal einfach auch transportiert wird. Und das ist im Sozialismus natürlich anders. Da wird eher ich sag mal so, der Sozialismus in den Fokus gestellt und nicht der Maximalprofit. Und genau, so, jetzt ist es ein bisschen oberflächlich, aber so, dass mir das, was mir dazu einfällt.
Vielen Dank. Ich übersetze mal kurz Englisch. So Comrade Philip points out that for question 2, that in capitalist societies, the capitalist ideology is forced on the people, on the working people in the societies, while in the socialist countries, the socialist ideology is developed and brought to educated to the people. And yes.
Right, thank you very much. That is the correct answer. I think that is a very good answer, and I agree with it.
Der Genosse Hudson stimmt dazu und sagt, das ist die richtige Antwort, eine sehr gute Antwort. Möchtest du noch eine weitere Frage beantworten, oder?
Was war jetzt nochmal die erste Frage? Das war, glaube ich, auch irgendwie sowas Ähnliches. Habe ich das jetzt auch gar nicht mehr im Kopf.
Was ist deiner Meinung nach die Rolle der Ideologie in einer sozialistischen Gesellschaft?
Ja, die Rolle, also das kann ich auch mal versuchen. Die Ideologie ist eigentlich, würde ich sagen, das Wichtigste in der sozialistischen Gesellschaft. Es ist so ein bisschen würde man sagen, die Überzeugungskraft für die Massen, würde ich es mal so nennen. So, grob gesagt.
Vielen Dank. Ich übersetze mal kurz ins Englische. So, Comrade Phillips says that in a socialist society, ideology is the most important thing. Ideology is how you the motivation of the people.
Is correct. Without ideological work, really, socialist society is nothing. It is totally and completely essential for building socialism.
Genosse Dr. hat es dann auch wieder gesagt, das ist sehr richtig, sehr gute Antwort. Und das eben ja, es sehr, sehr wichtig ist für den Aufbau des Sozialismus, wie du gesagt hast, und dass ja, Sozialismus ohne Ding nicht möglich ist. Und ja. Die dritte Frage war, muss ich selbst kurz überlegen, genau, wie gefährlich das Eindringen kapitalistischer Ideen, kapitalistischer Ideologie in der sozialistischen Gesellschaft, sozialistische Kultur sind. Möchtest du vielleicht auch noch beantworten?
Ja, das kann ich auch mal probieren. Ja, ich denke, dass, wenn das so andersrum, mal gucken, wie ich zusammenkriege. Also wenn die kapitalistische Ideologie in die sozialistische Gesellschaft eindringt, kann das durchaus den ganzen Sozialismus zerstören, würde ich mal so sagen. Das ist ja in den im Revisionismus letzten Endes auch passiert, dass da irgendwann so eine kapitalistische Strömung irgendwie eingedrungen ist, die dann letzten Endes den Sozialismus, würde ich jetzt so sagen, zerstört hat. So ist, ja, da gibt es auch ein paar Schriften darüber oder so, aber das hat jetzt nicht unbedingt was mit Nordkorea zu tun oder mit der DVRK, sagen wir mal so, zu tun.
Vielen Dank, ich übersetze kurz ins Englische. So he points out about question 3 that if capitalist ideology is brought into a socialist society, infiltrates a socialist society and the culture, it is very dangerous and can even destroy the socialist society, as we saw it in the Revisionist countries, which got infiltrated by Western culture, and they developed a very strong capitalist way of thinking, which in the end destroyed socialism in these countries.
Yes, that is the right answer. Yeah, I cannot fault or disagree with any part of that answer. That is correct.
Der Genosse Dr. Hudson hebt hervor, dass es die richtige Antwort ist. Sehr korrekt. Es gibt nichts, was er da widersprechen würde bei der Antwort.
Well, I think this has been quite useful. I don't really have much to say, except to remind KFA Germany comrades that the month of solidarity with the Korean people will be starting very soon. In fact, in 2 days, on Tuesday, 25th of June, KFA UK will have an online meeting to which we invite all comrades from KFA Germany to attend, and we're picketing the Yankee Embassy on the 29th, and we'll be distributing reading materials online.
Thank you very much. I'm just translating. Also Genosse Dr. Hudson hat hervorgehoben und erinnert uns nochmal, dass am 25., also in 2 Tagen, der Monat für Solidarität mit Volkskorea beginnt. Die KFA UK wird zu dem Anlass ein Online-Meeting halten, wozu auch alle Mitglieder der KFA Germany herzlich eingeladen sind. Und sie werden auch am 29. ein Picket vor der US-Botschaft in London machen.
Okay. Well, unless there is any other business, I would like to propose to close the session now, if that is all right with you, Jeremy, as it is really a KFA Germany's meeting.
Yes, it's all right for me. Also Dr. Hudson schlägt vor, das Meeting zu beenden. Ist es in Ordnung für dich, Philipp, auch?
Yes, it's okay. Also ja, ist in Ordnung. Yes.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, and I will be doing another talk in about 2 weeks. I hope perhaps things can be a bit better organized with translation and with more attendance. Okay. Well, I wish everybody a good evening, because it's evening now in Germany, and long live People's Korea, long live KFA Germany, long live KFA UK. Man say.
Man say.
Man say.
Man say.